Welcome to today's lesson. We're going to be talking about rain riding and the loss of traction, loss of visibility that is associated with that. I'd like to say thank you to my sponsor for today's video, Rockform, for sending me this motorcycle mount that I'm going to be giving away on my Patreon. If you want to know more about that and how to enter, make sure you swing on by patreon.com/DanDanTheFireman. Link will be in the description. All right, now that we saw what happened, let's go ahead and go over the three things I really want to talk about, which is going to be loss of traction, which is kind of obvious with this low side that happened, but also loss of vision. You see how the action camera case is getting fogged up. Now just imagine inside your own face shield getting fogged up. It looks like she has a pin lock. We can kind of go over that a little bit later. Also loss of vision for other vehicles on the road. This was a single vehicle incident. So this isn't, we're going to be focusing on that, but I just want you guys to understand, yes, there's going to be loss of visibility for other people on the road. Also, we're going to talk about the need for gear, okay? So the need for gear just in case of wet weather conditions, hot weather conditions, cold weather, and just for the crash, okay? So we're going to talk about different types of gear, but we're going to go ahead and move forward just a little bit. You see how she did this really well. She looks over there to make sure there's no traffic coming. Boom, good. She's going to go ahead and go, and then she's going to make her turn, and then it's going to be a slip and fall. So it's a low side, put her hand down, and now she's going to possibly have impact injuries. So she checks herself right there. The bike's going to have injuries, and she's a little upset. But let's go ahead and go to the very beginning of this, and let's talk about why it's important to really make sure your tires have good tread on them, also a proper PSI and everything. Do a full T-clocks. If you guys don't know what T-clocks is, I'm going to pop it on the screen right here. This is something you learn in the MSF BRC1. I highly recommend taking a class. And we're also going to be talking about this right here because you can't see hazards as well because you have fogging or you have diminished line of sight or range of sight even. So you have to find the hazards beforehand. But what hazards are you looking for? She's looking over to the right. She's making sure nobody's coming in at her. But see how far these people are, and it's really foggy. It's really difficult to see. Everything's blurry. You can't tell what the tires look like. You can barely tell where the headlights are. Now imagine if somebody didn't have headlights on. You could barely even see the vehicle. They kind of blend in. So this is the type of stuff you're going to have to really watch out for. So roadway users are going to be a big issue when it comes to rain riding because now you have loss of traction, loss of vision yourself, but they also have loss of traction, loss of vision, and they don't know how to drive when it's dry. They're not going to know how to drive when it's raining. So we need to really focus on that and watch them. But she's doing a good job. She checked, and those are pretty obvious hazards. Big vehicles. Now that you're kind of close, she slowed down before the intersection. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So we're going to have a loss of vision when it comes to the actual roadway, and we really need to be watching for any type of oil, any type of debris mixed in with the water. So just like when you're taking a shower or taking a bath or whatever it is you do, hopefully you're using soap, because when you use soap, it emulsifies it. It takes the debris away from your skin. It makes the water more wet. If you're a firefighter, you know what I'm talking about right there. But also look on the ground. I mean, it's nature's way of cleaning the ground, washing it away. So you're going to have debris that typically wouldn't be in your path of travel. When you are riding, you're usually going to have it towards the curbs that you can kind of see right here with the roundabout. You're going to have a lot of debris there because it's going to be kicked up by other drivers and it's going to be kind of pushed over to the side. But once you get any type of water, any rain, it's going to start taking the stuff that originally was in the center of the lane and then build it up and removes it off the ground, and it's kind of sliding across the ground. It's pretty easy to get trapped by that. So it's not just dry debris like dirt, rocks, and all that stuff. You're going to have plenty of that, but you're also going to have the oils. So a lot of the oil and fluids that drip off the cars, they're going to be in the center of the lane. So that's why a lot of people say do not park your bike at a stoplight right in the center lane. You're going to have a lot of oil. I completely agree with that. Make sure you don't do that. Another way you can tell, how much oil really comes off is that go to a parking lot. You're going to find that big black spot where the car typically parks. You're going to have something kind of similar to that, but not as much built up in the center of the lane. So lane position 2. So let's go ahead and scroll back just a little bit. You're going to have a little bit in lane position 2. So lane position 2 is right here. Lane position 2 is right here. Lane position 1 is right here. Lane position 3 is right here. So lane position 2, you're going to have, small drops from each car, every once in a while. It's not going to be a lot, but it's going to be enough to where when the water is touching the ground within the first 30 minutes of rain, it's going to lift up the oil and debris, because oil and water don't mix. It's going to be up on top. So when you are riding and it's the first 30 minutes, it's taking a while for that oil to get pushed to the side towards the drainage ditch. And you're going to be riding, and boom, you're going to hit some really fresh oil, basically, that's kind of been lifted up from the ground. So that's something you got to be really careful about. I'm not so concerned about the rain, the water itself. I'm not worried about hydroplaning because I make sure that my tires have proper tread depth. Now, that's something that you want to check when you do a T-clocks, okay? This is something you learn in the MSF BRC1, so highly recommend taking a class so you can learn a little bit more about that, but I'll have this popped up on screen. You really got to check your tires for the pressure, good tread depth, all these things, because that is what is going to allow you to grip the ground in low traction situations, okay? So now that we talked about traction, let's go ahead and talk about vision. There's something that is called the pin lock system. There's going to be a lot of different manufacturers that utilize the pin lock system. Shoei specifically uses it too. And what it does is basically creates a insulated window for your shield. Now that insulated window is going to make it to where you're not going to have a lot of fogging. So that's something I highly recommend. If you have a helmet that is pin lock ready, make sure you put the pin lock in, because you're not going to have this issue of fogging. And then utilize venting to really push out any humidity within your helmet. And we're going to go ahead and scroll over here to the need for gear. So this is a low side. With a typical low side, you see how she put her hands down. You're going to do that yourself. You're going to put your hands down. You're going to have massive impacts to the wrists and possibly the elbows. So make sure you have proper gloves and then proper jacket that has elbow impact protection. You're also going to be sliding, okay? So there's a little bit of a sliding right there. So make sure you actually have protection over your whole body so you have impact and abrasion resistance. But when we talk about gear, let's go ahead and move over just a little bit. You notice how she's wearing rain gear. Now that is something very important to wear in rain, heat gear and heat. For instance, when you're riding in the cold, even in the rain here, you're going to have possibly a loss of dexterity in your fingers. You're going to start shivering if you're getting too cold. You're going to have some issues when it comes to that because it's so cold. If you have a loss of dexterity in your fingers because it's so cold, they're getting numb, you're not going to be able to squeeze that front brake or pull in that clutch on the left side. So make sure you have the appropriate gear for the weather on top of having gear that will protect you in a slide. And the need for gear on your bike. So she looks over at her bike. So let's go ahead and put some sliders on our bike. Let's protect our bike. Engine case sliders. Anything that we can possibly do to minimize the non-repairable damage to our bike. So make sure you have that. Dress for the slide, not the ride. And that involves your bike also. So guys, this was an interesting video. It had a lot of rain, a lot of traction issues. We got vision issues and another important reason to wear our gear. But if you guys like this type of stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell button, possibly hit that join button and become a YouTube member. Love to have you around. But write in the comments and let me know if there's ever been a situation where you're riding in the rain and you almost did this or you did do this. Let's go ahead and share our experiences and help each other out. With that said, hope you ride safe, be safe, and I'll be seeing you around.